Paula. Welcome to my channel, Stitching in High Heels, my little corner of the internet where I talk about cross-stitch and all my other crafty adventures. If you're new, welcome. I hope you enjoy what you see, that you'll hit like and maybe even subscribe. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back. Thanks for sticking with me. I appreciate that you're here, especially at a time of year when there's a whole lot of great content out there. Seems like more than usual. If you've been with me for a while, don't be completely shocked because this is 3 videos from me in a pretty short period of time. I did a regular FlossTube episode. Wow, brain's starting to shut down here. And then I did my whip parade, which should have been posted about a week ago. And now I'm gonna just talk about how I finalized my plans for 2026. And I'm going to show you a planner that I got for Christmas that I really like. I've been struggling to find something that works. I'm using Notions for some things, but I really like the idea of paper and pencil planning and maybe journaling a little bit. Give me a second. I do have to adjust my ring light. I'm going to have to turn that on so we can see better. So try to do that without too much disruption here. Okay, I think that's okay. I know I've got a little bit of glare here. So let me first talk about the planner that I got. I got this for Christmas, and it's the planner for the cross-stitcher sole. Maybe you've seen it before. This is new to me, but I'm really impressed so far. So first of all, it came packaged in this box. Really nice, sturdy gift box. Planner for this cross-stitcher sole is printed on it. I took it out of the box, but inside the planner was wrapped in a piece of white tissue paper, nicely protected. And then it came with 2 of these pens. They write very nicely. I've used one. I really like the way they write, and they're pretty. And then here's the book itself. So you can see it's spiral bound. That's the cover. And I believe you can get these in 2 formats. One is specific to the year, so I got 2026. I think you can get one that's almost undated, kind of like generic. And you can see how thick this is. Really, really pretty impressive. So, and the paper that's printed on is all nice quality paper, so you open it up. And there's a pocket here with some things. And then, a property of flyleaf. And then the next page has a little introduction by the person who created it. And let's see, what else do we... Then we get to... And then there's a 2-page spread. Let me get closer. For the year the year on a page. So that's 2026. In 2027. Sorry if I made you a little seasick there. So that's the 2-page spread. And then we get to a series of tabs for the months. So there's 1 tab for each month. And there's the beginning. So each tab has, like this has a stitch diagram. Each tab on the front has something of interest, either a simple stitch diagram, some of them have some free charts, some of them have, there's a couple with recipes. So this is for January. And then when you open it up, there's a monthly spread there. I may have to put some pictures in because I'm not sure how well this is showing up. And you've got, on the side, you've got monthly goals, notes, things to note about next month. And then you go to a 2-page spread for each week. And on this side you have a to-do list, you have priorities to do, there's goals, and then on the other side is the week. So, and there's one for each week of the month. Like I said, I'll take some pictures and insert. And then so of course there's 12. There's one for each month. And then after that, the next section, after those 12 sections, I mean, this is printed on really nice, sturdy, almost well, not completely cardstock, but close to it. So then our next section is whips and charts, and you can see it also comes with a bookmark, which I'll show you in a second. Sorry, it's a big book. So one page is designated as a list of whips, which you can see I went over, and then there's a books and charts lists. I'm probably not going to put all my charts in this because I have them all in a spreadsheet. But then there's also, there's a nice, this will be hard to see, but there's a nice bookmark that you can move around. Nice sturdy plastic. It says "Feed My Soul." And at the end of the projects, there is a section for WhipGo. It says the WhipGo game, and then on the next spread is a blank WhipGo board, which I'll show you. I've already filled out. So that's very cool. I'm not sure how I'm going to mark off yet, you know, what's been called, and because we do have the first calls, and what I've, you know, how I finished. But I thought that was good. And then the next section is thread conversions, and there is the entire, here we go. So DMC is listed out number by number, and oh gosh, I've got to put pictures in. DMC is listed out number by number, and then there is the Sullivan's number, the color name, a week's thread, a classic colorworks, and a gentle arts. Some of them have conversions, some of them don't, and they go through all of the DMC numbers completely through. Then the next section is called projects, and I might use this for projects that I start this year, but there's one project per page. You can put, there you go, there's some of the information. And then there's a section at the bottom for a photo. So, you know, you can put in your name, your designer, your fabric, your start, your finish. That's optimistic that it would be in the same planner. Your threads, any notes, and a photo. And there is, there's like 6 pages for that. So, not a horrible section. I just have a feeling I'm going to start more than that this year. And I wouldn't put my WhipGo starts in there because that would just overrun the whole thing. And then here's a section for retreats. And so each page is for a retreat, project name, location, the theme, projects to bring, budgeting information, what else is on here? Notions to bring, to-do list, checklist, including, you know, an electrical source if you're going to need one, or, you know, an exchange piece. So, and there are, I mean, each section is pretty generous, really. There's 5 pages for that. And then on the back of each section, there's a notes page. One is lined, and the other is, I forget what they call it, but where it's all dots. And here's a section to track finishing supplies or list what you might need. And the inside of the tab has a generic list that has things like scissors, fabric and paper, sewing thread, button or carpet thread. You can see that there. Again, I'll put some pictures in because unfortunately my light and my camera aren't behaving. The next section is for contacts, and that's really just like a regular, it's kind of neat, it's like a regular address book. It's got name, address, phone, email, birth date, and several pages of that. So if you wanted to take this to retreats and track contact information, keep your stitchy friends all in here. This next section will be important to me this year. This is the wish list section. And it's just, you know, blank pages that say wish list. So you can prioritize it and what the wish is and whether it's been fulfilled. So you can see that there. So that's pretty cool. Next is a section just for notes. Hold on. Just for notes. And then it's got several blank lined pages just for notes. And then there's a neat section called definitions and abbreviations. And just, you know, some of it's pretty basic that would be good for beginner stitchers. Some of it is abbreviations that you might run across, you know, in social media that you might not have seen before. And the last section is called resources. And this has some stitch diagrams in it, basic stitches, and then it says TBD on the last one, so maybe there'll be something added in future versions. And then there's another packet here on the pocket. Let's see. There's another pocket there on the back. So I'm really happy with this. I can see this working well with how I want to do my planning for this year, and also being a good way to track what I work on, have a good spot to just make a quick note of what it is that I've done each day. So I want to talk a little bit about refining my plans. So in my last regular video, I did talk about a snow day piece, and I was trying to decide between Father Winter and Christmas at Hawthorne Hollow. So I did make a decision what I'm going to do, because we got another foot of snow last night, so now I'm up to 34 hours of stitching. So what I'm going to do is I am going to work on Christmas at Hawthorne Hollow as my snow day piece until either I'm out of hours, which, looking at the weather forecast, not going to happen anytime soon, or I finish the second block, which is the block that I've started now. If I finish the second block, then I'm going to move over to Father Winter. And hopefully before that happens, I will have gotten the PDF that I bought for Father Winter loaded into Markup RXP, and I can get where I am marked off to make it easier to just jump in and start. So that's what I'm doing for my snow day piece. If you watched my whip parade, you will know that I have 36 whips. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try my hand. I've seen lots of people do a decision wheel. And I'm also a member of the Whip Warriors Facebook group, which requires participation. You can either play some of their games, like Scattergories, or they have some of the weekend events, like, yeah, I'm drawing a blank on the names now. They have a focus event. They have a Strident Sal, which is a weekend where you work on a piece that's part of a stitch along. So they also have, I'm in the Sweewee tracks, stitch what you want when you want track. And they also have, they started last year and I really enjoyed this. They call it Keep It Simply Stitching. And all you have to do is post a beginning photo with a keyword and an ending photo. And you can have up to 4 projects a month. So I like that, and I like, sometimes the games get a little overwhelming and they don't work so well with my stitching schedule and that kind of thing. So I'm going to focus primarily on the Keep It Simply Stitching event. We'll possibly do some focus events here and there if I have weekends with large blocks of stitching time. So I've seen lots of people do a tiny decisions wheel. So I'm going to do the decision wheel. I'm going to load my 36 whips into the decision wheel, and I'm going to pull, I don't know if I'm going to do them at the beginning of the month or one per week, but I'm going to spin the wheel, have it pick a project. I'm going to spend the week working on that project. The project will come off the wheel, so it can't be picked again. And I'm going to work through that until I have touched all of my whips. And then I'll start over again, because there'll be several weeks left over in the year. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do whip go. I do have some starts that I already know that I want to do. And 2 of them will be coming up in January, and I've brought them along to show you as well. The first one is a chart that I've had for a while, and it's called Winter Solstice, and it's by Knicki's Prims and Whims. And the copyright on this is, I got it online. I believe it's still available, but I think it's copyrighted 2017. Here's a larger picture of what it is. So you guys know that I love birds and I love cardinals, and this is a perfect piece. And cardinals just say wintertime to me. So I'm going to start this. I don't know if I'm going to do it on a brown or try to find, I haven't picked fabric yet, try to find a dusky blue maybe. So there's that. And then the other one I'm going to start, if you watch Helen D, you will have heard her talk about the Stitch Crypt and their Patreon charts for this month. And one of them is this one, Winter's Cardinal, which I love. And it's not a very big piece, but like she said, for the size of it, the thread list is pretty extensive, but I can't wait to see how it stitches up. It is 73 by 85 with a total of 2,350 stitches. So I'm going to start that as well, just for a couple of fun pieces. Maybe the smaller one I can get done quickly. I haven't picked fabric for that either. And I did what Helen D, so she talks about, she's never a constant member of a Patreon. She'll join for her 30 days, get the chart that she's interested in. She follows the designers on Instagram, or, you know, watches for people talking about what's on Patreon. So the level that got me this Winter's Cardinal chart with Stitch Crypt, I forget what the amount was. It was under 10, it was $10 or under. But there were 2 charts that were available. You could get, I believe it's December's chart and November's chart. So it's this chart, and I didn't print off the other one. It's a snowy owl. So there were 2 charts for, even if it was for $10, that's $5 a chart, really, really affordable. And then I can go in and cancel. I don't have to stay for any amount of time. The designer gets the revenue. I get the chart that I want. And especially for a designer where I'm not, like, I like some of their work but not necessarily all of it kind of thing, that makes sense. I've been a member of Fox and Rabbit's Patreon, not one that gets not one of the level that gets fabric, just their charts. I'm actually thinking of discontinuing that because I've talked to you guys about, I'm doing a no-buy year. I am going to, at least for now, keep Teresa Kogut's Patreon because I love everything that she does, and I've stitched several of those charts. Fox and Rabbit, I'm doing the temperature chart that I showed you guys that I got. They have a couple other smaller charts that I'll do, but I have a bunch, and I really, sometimes even getting digital charts has made me feel stressed about keeping track of what I have and having so much lately. I also belong to the Tiny Modernists Patreon right now, and I'm going to stay because she showed a sneak peek of her January chart, and I really think that's going to be cute and something that I would stitch. So I'm going to evaluate Patreons that way, and I'm not sure how I'm going to handle that in relation to the no-buy part. Technically they are charts, although they're digital charts, but we'll see. In the meantime, I do love this cardinal chart. I am gonna start that. Thank you to Helen D for talking about it on her latest FlossTube, so that I knew to go and get it. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'm doing a no buy. I'm gonna allow myself to start whatever's in my stash. I think for FlossTubes during the year, I'm going to go through some of my stash, maybe some of the designers I have more of that aren't quite as common. I mean, I could do a Mirabilia parade, but you guys know what most of those are, right? So I'll go through my charts, maybe some of my older charts, and show some of them, especially if I'm, you know, trying to make a decision on things that I'm going to start, or kitting things up, I'll share some of that with you guys and see what we can find in my stash. So with that, this is going to be a really quick video. I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to say I hope you're safe. I hope you're happy. I hope you're getting lots of stitching time. And if it's winter where you are, I hope it's not too cold. If it's summer where you are, I hope it's not too hot. And I'll talk to you soon. Love you. Bye.